So now we've got the door skin. So I think last time we were looking at it we had the lower section, and now we've joined on the top 2 inches around here, and now we're going up to this part up along the top, which will be the top part. You can see it's reinforced on the inside. So this is the roughed out version of the door skin, about to go back on for a trial fit. So if we take this over, we talked about these edges and how these edges here will lock onto the inner structure. So now we've got an inner structure. So you can see all this on here. So we got all this, and then that's the inner structure. So when this part here, this edge, will wrap around underneath, and then we'll fold it over and lock it onto the metal. So everything's kind of at a preliminary stage here, and we're just sort of test fitting to see if we can wrap it all together. That all clips into space where it's got to go. So it gives us a roughed out kind of a gap where we want to be. We can move it around a little bit, and then we can take this part, clamp it on. And now we got that top I just showed you, that top structure, which is an extension of the door skin. And so we're still sort of fitting around with the door. We've got to clean up our gaps, get it, but it's getting closer and closer, and we just got to now lock it all together, tidy up the gaps, and then we'll move on and we'll go on to the next step. Previously it had some damage up here, so we just started rough out this patch and put this patch in over the top, which now we can dress up, finish dressing it up and make it all disappear basically. But that had to tie in to give us the door gap. Now we're going to come inside, we're going to drop a pivot point for the door so we can get the door to start to function. We're going to put basically the rails, a whole support of rails that will come down like a tunnel. We'll build the tunnel all the way through the floor to keep the front from bending on the back when we take it off this frame table. So it has no inner structure, as you can see, yet. So we're going to make basically a big console to come down, run through, that'll form the tunnel, form the outer edges, and then put the 2 seat wells, one here, one over there. That's it. So that'll be the next step. So this will be how the floor will work out. You can see here what we've got here is basically the rough sketch of the back of the car. This will be the pivot points for the 2 doors. So this here will be the console I was talking about. It'll come down, form the center tunnel, and then you'll have the seat wells on either side, and then that'll give us the seating position. Tie the front, which will be out here, to the back, and that's the next stage. That's where we're heading.
Do you have instructions for how to do this, Paul?
Oh yeah, it's all up here.
I see. Completing the space coupe does not come with an instruction manual.
No, buddy, it does not. We're trying to guess what kind of angle you're going to want in your seat compartment. This looks like a good angle to me. tunnel to be taller than the outside. The reason that we're double stacking the 3-inch and not using a one piece of 6 is because I get more wall structure. I get 2 extra layers in the center for the wall structure by doing it this way. Whereas if I just had a one big rectangular, I'd have no seam in the middle. And that extra 2 seams from the bottom one and the top one gives it a little more rigidity. And I can keep it lightweight, because to buy this in a 6, you can't get a 6 by 1. You have to get, I believe it might be 1.5 inches, might be the smallest. I don't want that. So this gives us 2 birds with 1 stone. A little more rigidity, and I get the weight out of it. So all this old support structure that's been in here for the last 40 years will basically be cut away. We'll get rid of all this. All that rusty stuff you can see we'll remove, because that's what they used to use primarily to shape the body on. Well, I'll remove all that, and that'll be replaced with the new frame over here that we got on the table. So that'll be the inner structure that we're about to fit right now, and we'll put all that in there. We didn't do straight because that's what everyone would do. This looks cooler, looks more like a little more custom or like a traditional car, and it doesn't look straight, which is, this looks cool. Slip under here. There. Okay. Tack this together. It's a space coupe. Will do for now. Let's see if I can do that. I've got too big of a, too much weight, too heavy. That's gonna get there. And we should be able to. I could be sitting in this area right around here. Yeah, I don't need to stretch out any more than that. My bum can come back a bit further. That should get me pretty close. Got enough head clearance back here, yeah. Yep. Let's see. Yeah. So this one here is about, this one here is pretty close, because that's going to then go up to support the door. The steel will continue up, and then we'll pick up the door pivot points with the same structure. So now let's get on the driver's side. We should be able to duplicate that. The door is going to be there, but it comes out quite a way. My shoulder's inside that, right? Yeah. So if I was about here, trying to, for a vision point of view to drive it, I don't want a wheel. Maybe not, because the wheel, this.
Where is that wheel?
Okay, so I would want to be right about here, because it gives me clearance to this corner where I know that the door is. So if I turn the wheel, I don't want to be crowded. So this is going to have to be about here. Okay. Yeah, I think I'd want it here. I think we're good with this about here. Okay, sit still. Just wanted her to be. Okay, that there gives me about the center. Let's clamp that. Let's go about here. Easy, boy, easy. So back in the day, this is how we would hang a body on a Winston Cup car. You have the big table like we have here, the service table. Center line beam. You could run templates off of here. Keeps the body in center on the chassis that we're building underneath. So we think this side was pretty close, right? We're kind of happy with that. So we take the swing out of this. Let's move it over and make it 4. So that's 4. Let's go up here. Move that steering wheel. So now we've got the seat area. This is like the seat bucket area. So the seat will be in here. It'll attach to a floor pan that they will now fabricate. The question is, how do we want to get from this point to this point? Up, 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 up. Curve. Over the curve. Around. So we're going to take the new structure that we're putting in now for the floor pan. We're going to tie that all up to the underside up under here that's holding this exterior skin. So therefore we can eliminate this rusty old scaffolding that's in here. We'll get rid of all that. We'll tie the new to the other new under there, and we'll have stitched the body all together. Much the similar as the interior of that door on that side. You can see the new metal. It goes under the skin. This is all what we're doing now, is tying the new to replace all this to build it to the way we want to do it. And the car will be going. Cheers, mate. Out with the old, replace with the new. It's the next piece, boss. This one. Cut it right here. So let's take this one out. Cobalt tools, preferred by professionals.
Who are those guys?
Lincoln Electric, preferred by professionals. Good welders, won't let you down. Get up there somehow. So we got this vertical one right here, and then we got another, and then further back there's a third. So we're going to have 3 come down each side, and that's basically holding up the structure, all the body form work above that we just removed that large piece from. So now we took it out, we can come around this side, do the same. This is the same piece on this side, and there's the same 3 vertical new ones, and that'll clear all this open so we can work on the floor in the right spot. So that's where we're heading, folks. More rusty crap. So now that we're removing all this existing structure that whoever Bill or whoever would have put on there, when the chassis gets back here, we'll take some measurements from the actual chassis, and then we can make mounts from the chassis itself to the body and make it a lot cleaner than what it was looking to be this way, and we make it more efficient, less of it, less weight. So now that we're clearing off all the underside of all that structure, we can access the inside edge of a lot of these welds where they have to be, we just run the TIG welder over it to smooth out the ugliness of the weld and the porousness, because aluminum doesn't like oxygen. So when you weld on one side, it gets contaminated on the opposite side by the oxygen. That's why it'll get lumpy and not look irregular. So you just run the TIG down here, smooths it all off, and it'll make a better finish, and that's just a more professional way to do it rather than leave the contaminated aluminum weld that you can see, and it doesn't have the same strength through vibration and cracking that's going to occur over the years. So we can do that now that we've removed a bunch of that structure, and that doesn't take too long at all. Well, now that we've got it all cleared out, we can then go in now, put our new floor tub that we made previously, this new structure, get it all situated where we need it to be, and then we can then take some risers and come up the back here to meet the door pivot, which will be something that we'll attack and make sure that we can get our door functioning. And then we will then get in here, where we can sit in here for our party and make all this inner fender wells, just like it was right where the wheel would be. So you want it in the fender, you're going to have our engine in here, so we've got to protect all that just like you would any other car. Fill all this in and yeah, tie it all in down the side. So there's a lot of sheet metal work. This is all the interior of the door here, so this will all wrap down, this will all roll to the floor. All this inner structure is where we're about to head right now. But first step, we're going to put these risers up from the floor to catch the door pivot point, and that'll tie the big tunnel from the rear to the front, situate it all together. Now that we've opened it all up, you'll be able to see, we can all see that these supports that are actually holding the body shows the importance of having a frame table, because this frame table is all level front to back, and that's what everything grows off of this frame table. Everything will be on this same surface, and we know this is our baseline, and we build up from here.
It's the stand-in for the chassis.
Correct. And then later down the road, the chassis gets back. The chassis can be laid on the frame table, and the body go on the top, and it'll tie it all together. That way we know we've got the car square, because like up above how we had the plumb bobs, which we've now removed, with that beam across the top shows us the center line, and everything is orientated from the base, this table surface. Everything will be parallel where it needs to be and square. So that's the importance of a frame table when you build something like this. Otherwise you'd have no real base to come off of. You wouldn't know what was straight or what was square. So that's how it all ties in together, being on the table, which is important. If you're ever going to build any kind of kit car like this from scratch, that's pretty much what you need to do.